Rumour has it the RF100 F2.8 macro will be announced soon. Let's look into that. Hi, I'm Tom and you're watching Rumourhasit. Please subscribe for camera news, rumour and informed opinion. It's free to subscribe and it helps the channel grow. Nakoshita, that prolific leaker of camera news, especially Canon news, recently tweeted some photos of the RF100 2.8 macro lens. That suggests it will be announced soon. Are you looking forward to that? It's certainly got me interested. The SA markings on the lens have caused a stir. What could it stand for? Spherical aberration? Could it be some method of adjustment for that? That would allow macro photographers to adjust the bokeh forwards and backwards, moving between blur and onion rings. I know it's a popular technique in Japan. So it could be that control over spherical aberration, or bokeh, would be hugely popular there. Other thoughts on what SA might mean have varied. Perhaps slider adjustment. Perhaps something to aid with focus stacking. The use of sliders is very popular with that technique, but this technique is available now in Canon firmware, at least on some models, including the R5. Or perhaps it's a scale adjustment to alter magnification from 1:1 to 1:2 or 4:1, however you want to refer to it. There are reports that Canon is working on a 4x magnification lens. Could this be it? Maybe a method akin to fitting extension tubes, but would Canon willingly obsolete all those extension rings? Or perhaps it's just some proprietary way to defocus the lens, as we've seen in other lenses like the Nikon 135mm. Interestingly, the Canon Patent shows the lens groupings moving back and forth, and this could suggest it's for magnification. One thing's for sure, there's lots of speculation out there, and this could be a very eagerly awaited lens. Now on to the next question. What will the price be? When the EF version was released, it was $1,049. With inflation, that could take it to $1,249 now, but given recent RF glass pricing surprises, it could be more. I do own the EF version, and though I'm not hugely into macro, it's a very deep subject after all. I decided to give the focus stacking software that's available in the R5 a test. Here's a macro image taken with the focus stacking mode in the R5. It takes a certain amount of dedication to use this, as this particular image consisted of 230 photographs out of a total of 250. I used the smallest increment, and the whole process took about 4 hours to complete. That included importing the images into layers in Photoshop and letting the image stacking system do its thing. Out of interest, I was using a 2018 MacBook Pro with 16GB of RAM, but I was still surprised at how long it took. The software in Photoshop and DPP really struggled with this image. It doesn't seem to handle images where the focal plane changes so drastically, and possibly the transparent nature of the subject. I experimented by setting a bigger depth of field and taking fewer shots, and I managed this image. This time it was only 73 images stacked. Having decided this subject was too much of a challenge, I moved over to a simpler challenge using a lens cap, but it still exhibits the same problem. I think this is a failing of the software, but the problem could lie with me. So if any experienced macro photographers are looking in, perhaps you can tell me where I'm going wrong. The EF version of this lens is getting a little long in the tooth now, but it was a big seller for Canon and loved by many users. The lens had great bokeh and was a favourite of portrait photographers for that reason. It's also useful in landscape work because of the compression effect. And here's an example of that. It will also be very interesting to use with the speed of the electronic shutter, as it defaults to this. It could mean sharper shots with less motion blur on insects and the like. Being an L lens, it was robust in weather sealed, and it was even famously boiled by Christopher Frost. Not really, but watch his video. There's currently a cheaper non-L version of this lens, which is almost as sharp, but it lacks stabilisation. However, I doubt Canon will have two versions like this for the RF range, but you never know. So what do you think SA stands for? And are you likely to buy the RF version when it comes out? Please let me know below. I'm also interested in any advice on how I could have improved the images I showed earlier. Can you advise on what went wrong? Thanks for watching Rumourhasit. I hope you found this useful. Please click the subscribe button below, as it really helps the channel grow. And for my part, I'll continue to bring you camera news, rumour and informed opinion.